So Andrew Tate's in the news again. I mean, he's always in the news, but he's in the news for a not very good thing again. If you have been following Andrew and Tristan Tate, you know that they're in a large lawsuit. You know, they're being charged with a number of things. So they're basically fighting for their life at this point. And you know, if you're a supporter of them, then you probably disbelieve whatever's being told about them. But if you're kind of on the fence, I don't know if I'm on the fence necessarily. I'm kind of a supporter, but you know, I don't know at this point. Still, I'm like agnostic essentially. Then you'll see some of the stuff that's coming out is a little bit alarming. Here's an article from BBC today. This has been all over the news cycle today. Everyone's picked it up, but I decided to read the BBC because a little bit related to them because some of these women are actually British citizens. So, but it says, and I can't read the R word, so I'm just going to say the R word. It's RAPED. So when I say the R word, that's what I mean. It's just if I read that word, I'm probably just going to get throttled down. So the article is Tate R'd and strangled us. Women talk to BBC. Two women who say they were R'd and strangled by the controversial social media influencer Andrew Tate have spoken to the BBC about their experiences. Another woman has alleged for the first time she was R'd by Mr. Tate's younger brother, Tristan, also an influencer with millions of followers. The Tate brothers, aged 37 and 36, currently face charges in Romania of human trafficking and forming an organized group to sexually exploit women. Andrew Tate is also charged with R. If found guilty, the two men could be jailed for more than 10 years. They strongly deny the charges against them. So Andrew Tate is currently under house arrest in Romania. In addition to the charges he already faces, prosecutors are considering new allegations against him, including having sex with a minor and trafficking underage persons. Both brothers are also being investigated for trafficking 34 more women. Now, in a new BBC Panorama program, two British women not involved with the Romanian case against the Tate brothers have given detailed first-hand accounts of alleged R and sexual violence by Andrew Tate. The allegations date back at least 10 years to when Mr. Tate was living in Luton. This is what gets me. Why wait so long to come out? You know, I don't mean to be that sort of victim shamer or whatever you want to call it, or, you know, disbeliever, but what's the motive here? It's like, why way after the fact, 10 years later, they've been in trouble now, or dealing with these allegations against them for quite a while, and now you're coming out. No, this is where, you know, my spidey senses tingle. Another British woman has made a new allegation of R against Tristan Tate, saying he put his hands around her throat as he did so. Anna, not her real name, told us she went out with Andrew Tate in Luton in 2013. After a few dates, she says she went back to his house. I'm not going to play this video. It's just her talking about it. But here, this will sum it up, sort of, you know, without getting too much into detail. He started kissing me, and then he just looked up at the ceiling and said, "I'm just debating whether I should R you or not." Out of the blue, he just grabbed me by the throat, smashed me to the back of the bed, strangling me extremely hard. Then she says he R'd her. She says after the attack, Mr. Tate sent her disturbing text messages and voice notes about R and sexual violence. "Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it," he said in a voice note. In a text, he wrote, "I love R'ing you." Now, if this is all absolutely provable, this looks pretty bad. Now, I don't know. Consider the sources of this stuff. Some of this stuff is seems a little contrived. They seem to be handpicking what they want to enter as evidence, and they're not taking witness statements of the opposite, which makes it all seem a little bit like a witch hunt. But again, I don't know. I'm agnostic on this. Anna says she also tried to pass the strangulation episode off as a joke. "Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit?" When the BBC asked him about the messages, Mr. Tate declined to comment. Well, obviously, he's not going to comment to you. You're a clown network. There's no advantage to comment to a biased network. 2014, Anna told Bedfordshire police about the alleged attack. Two other women made similar allegations, and the investigation was taken over by Herefordshire police. In 2019, a file was sent to the Crown Prosecution Service, but it was decided there was not enough evidence to bring charges. Another woman, who we were calling Sienna, describes a similar story. She says she first met Andrew Tate a decade ago in Luton. We got on really well and had a few drinks. She says they had what she describes as a standard one-night stand. A few months later, Sienna says she met Mr. Tate again. She claims that on this occasion, he attacked her. We went to my bedroom and we started having sex. She says that was when he put his hands around my throat. Sienna says she struggled for air and then lost consciousness. When she came to, she says he was still having sex with her. I was absolutely terrified, she says. I just remember gasping for air. It was R. In the morning, she says she had a bloodshot eye. One of the whites of my eyes had just gone completely red. Apparently, it's quite common in domestic abuse cases where there's been strangulation. A friend of Sienna has confirmed to the BBC that she told him about the incident at the time. He also says he saw her eye injury. Sienna didn't go to the police and says she regrets it. You know, like I'm not gonna say anything about that because that happens a lot where women don't go to the police. But again, why 10 years later? What's the, somebody coercing her to do that? I don't understand. But anyways, BBC Panorama is aware of a total of 5 women in the UK who say they were strangled by Mr. Tate during sex. When we interviewed him in June last year, he denied ever having strangled or having had sex with a woman without her consent. I know I've never hurt anybody. It's not in my nature to hurt people, he said. That's kind of a funny statement considering he was a world-class kickboxer. So, that's a little bit ironic, that statement. I get what he's trying to say. In the second half of the last decade, Andrew Tate began his rise to online fame. The two self-proclaimed, I hate this when they say this. This drives me nuts. The two self-proclaimed misogynists videos on YouTube and TikTok and posts on Twitter gained millions of followers and worldwide profile. They're not self-proclaimed misogynists. In fact, it's quite the opposite. They say they're not misogynists. But they say that, and then that makes that true. That's why this is a clown network. That's why you're a biased piece of garbage network. You say stuff like that, you're reporting incorrectly on purpose. Be unbiased. Be in the middle, and then people will trust you. But otherwise, we're not going to trust you, the garbage you say. I'm going to read your shit with a grain of salt, like I do. He preached a message aimed at boys and young men that women should be dominated. In one video, he said women were intrinsically lazy and added, "There's no way you can be rooted in reality and not be sexist." He did say a lot of stuff. He did, I will say that he did say a lot of stuff, and he does admit that he said a lot of stuff back in the day to be controversial. It's hard to defend that kind of thing because realistically, you say something, you've got to kind of back your words up. You say something at some point, you gotta say, yeah, I said that, and either I was an idiot for saying it or whatever. And I guess he does, but some of it's pretty bad. Even for me, who I see the nuance in some of the things he said, some of it's not good. Mr. Tate has been singled out by authorities in the UK for the effect he has had on spreading misogyny online. His videos also showed off the high-rolling lifestyle he claimed to lead in Romania. And then, of course, that's a lot of it, right? You gotta, trying to show himself to be a baller. Andrew and Tristan Tate are thought to have moved to the country around 2016. They had been running a webcamming business in Luton, where women chat and strip online for money. Romania has one of the largest webcam industries in the world with over 500,000 employees in the sector. Wow. The brothers moved there, apparently saw the business taking off. At one point, Andrew Tate claimed he was making 400,000, I guess that's pounds, per month from webcamming, and that the 75 women worked for him at the peak of it all. However, when he spoke to the BBC last year, he downplayed those boasts, claiming they had been exaggerations and lies. The adult entertainment business is central to the criminal case brought against them in Romania. Okay, so we know the rest of it. It's basically we're just talking a little bit about the actual case that's against them. This doesn't look good. I'll be honest with you. It doesn't look good that they have 2 new women jumping in to the fold. But again, like I said, what's the motive here? Like, what's the motivation? Or 10 years later, they're jumping in now, well after this case is underway. I don't know. It's hard to say what I think is going on here. I could be wrong, but what I think is going on here is a little bit of a witch hunt. I'm not saying these guys are perfect or they're they weren't up to a bit of no good, but I think most of that no good was consensual no good, and some of these women got into this situation to enrich themselves in an industry where these guys could provide guidance. Yes, but time will tell, I guess.